What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Going for Two. I am Q1 Humphreys. And the Indiana Pacers are one game away from the NBA Finals after their 130 to 121 victory at the crib in Game 4 over the New York Knicks. Now, this game, to me, it kind of encapsulated who the Indiana Pacers are and how they've been for this whole season. First and foremost, they played their game. And even bigger than that, they made the New York Knicks play the Pacers game as well, because the first quarter was a track meet. It was a track meet between the two teams, man. And guys were getting up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And it turned into a very, very high scoring. I want to say it was nearly 80 points scored at the end of the first quarter. End of the first half. We were in the hundreds well early, very, very early into the fourth quarter of this game. And, watching the game, it's like a offense with so many weapons. It reminds me of the Detroit Lions offense. And when I say that, I mean as in there are just so many weapons that this team has that you never know who's gonna go off. You know what I'm saying? Tonight it was game one. I'm sorry, game one we saw Neesmith go off for 8 threes. Game two we saw Siakam go off for 40 points. Tonight we saw Tyrese Haliburton have a insane performance, 32 points, 15 rebounds. 32 points, 15 assists, and 12 rebounds, 0 turnovers. He's the third player in NBA history to ever have a 30, 15, and 10 game, but he's the first one to ever do it with no turnovers. Very, 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 very insane performance from him. But they got Siakam, Neesmith, Nembhard didn't have a good game tonight, but Nembhard, Miles Turner, you know what I'm saying? You got guys like Obi Toppin, Benedict Mathurin, TJ McConnell off the bench. This team is just so deep. And then when they play their style of getting up and down the floor, they're virtually unstoppable. They're virtually unstoppable, and that's exactly how they were tonight. You know what I'm saying? We saw tonight Tyrese Haliburton took control of the game early, scored a quick 13 points early in the game, and you can tell off rip, okay, he's on timing. He's on timing. It might have been because they freed his pops. They allowed his pops to back in the building tonight. And he had to strive for his pops. Had to strive for his daddy, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Tyrese Haliburton. Tyrese Haliburton to me is it was really, really tough to gauge, really, really tough to rank. And he still kind of is. But games like this make it way easier. Haliburton is a guy that is one of those, he's a one. He's a number one guy, but you question if he can be a 1A. Because you look at other 1As, they don't play like Haliburton. You know what I'm saying? They don't play like him. But tonight, he played like what I don't know about y'all, what I envisioned a 1A to play like. A point guard that's going to score a bunch of points and get a bunch of assists. You know what I'm saying? He was dominant that thing, but he was not pass first tonight. By no means. He was looking to get after the Knicks and really put this series really pretty much out of reach tonight, which he did. But I think going back to what I was saying about how this game encapsulated who the Indiana Pacers are. We know who they are offensively. And last year, they were really good offensively as well. But what was the issue? They could not get no stops. They got no stops. This year, they were able to pick up their defense. Their defense was way better this season compared to last year. And even tonight, even throughout this playoffs, we've seen them be able to get timely stops, big stops that they need. They're not a team that's going to lock you up, by no means. But they're going to get stops when they need to get stops. And those stops lead to those runs and just lead to avalanches. You know what I'm saying? I look at the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks, they had a relatively great scoring game, 121 points. But those 121 points were not easy. They were not easy. Jalen Brunson only got up 17 shots. Yes, he got 1,000 free throws, but he only got up 17 shots, so which means he was not getting to the spots that he normally gets to. You know what I'm saying? Karl-Anthony Towns, they flipped the switch on him so great in that second half, man. Because in the second quarter, I put in my notes, they don't have an answer for Cat. Because they will put Miles Turner on him. Miles Turner's he doesn't have the foot speed to keep up with Cat. So Cat going left every single time, getting to the basket, getting fouled or getting a layup. When they put anybody else on him, they're just too small. Siakam's too small. I saw a possession when Mathurin was lined up on him. He's too small. But in the second half, they played great defense on Karl Anthony Towns, man, and taking him kind of not out of the game, but slowing him down helped them win this ball game, man. It helped them win the ball game. There were several turnovers, missed shots at the rim that the Pacers forced because their defense was just they some dogs. I talk about OKC and how they some dogs. Pacers got some dogs. Neesmith, Nembhard, McConnell, them guys some dogs, man. They get after it. You know what I'm saying? They get after it. This is a team that is arguably the deepest team in the league, them and OKC, and I feel like it's just ironic how both the deepest teams in the league are going to meet in the finals, most likely if they both can close out their series. You know? Benedict Mathurin played a very, 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 very good game this game. You know, he hasn't really played too much throughout the playoffs, but tonight, he only played 12 minutes, but gave you 20 points and played a big part in them keeping the Knicks within arm's reach, or at arm's reach, late in the third quarter, early in the fourth quarter. He finished 20 points. I mean, he just made play after play. He was just getting after it. He was even jawing back and forth with Jalen Brunson early in that fourth quarter. But, man, one game from the finals. Who thought we'd be here? You know, it went from literally thinking it would be a two-man race between the Celtics and the Cavs to us having a Pacers and Knicks final where even most of us, including me, had the Knicks going to the finals. And the Pacers came out here and continued to just prove all the haters wrong. All the haters wrong. Haliburton, they said he was the most overrated. He's killed those talks. Trae Young's probably going to get the most overrated talks again in the NBA, and hopefully he can do it. As a Hawks fan saying, hopefully he can do the same thing Haliburton is doing. Let's talk about the Knicks. The Knicks, they have to go out and get some depth. They got to go out and get some depth because their rotations. I watched Inside the NBA today. Inside the NBA were saying how their best guys, and I talked about it a couple videos ago, their guys that they depend on just are not good on the court together. You know? You look at the plus minuses down the line. All of them are double digits plus minuses, except for double digit minus plus minuses, except for Josh Hart, who had a -1 plus minus. So I guess he kind of didn't have the worst game, but he came off the bench tonight. We saw Mitchell Robinson only play less than 20 minutes. You know, and this is a guy that was great in the Boston Celtics series, but in this series he's been a liability because they're attacking him on offense, and then when the Knicks are on offense, they're sending him to the line for the Hacker Mitchell. You know, you got guys on the bench like Miles McBride who had an 11 plus minus today. You got Landry Shamet who came in and gave you 9 minutes, who has a plus I want to say a plus 18 plus minus over the last 2 games. You know. So the Knicks just have to find a way moving forward. They got to go get some depth, so that way they can try out different combinations of players. Because the issue is, like I said, these are your guys. You know, you don't want to get to a point where you're sitting Karl Anthony Towns or you're sitting Mikal Bridges or you're sitting OJ Anunoby. You're not going to sit Jalen Brunson unless he's in foul trouble. You don't want to get in that kind of situation without having guys that you trust to bring in off the bench. You know, and I know this goes against Tibbs' play. I know this goes against Tibbs' coaching because Tibbs has always been a guy that runs his guys into the ground. But hey, you only got one night rest in the playoffs right now. These guys need some sort of break, you know, and you have to be comfortable bringing guys in that you trust to hold the fort down while your top guys, while your main guys are resting. And even when your main guys aren't having the best performances, you got to have somebody that you can pull them for in order to replace them and have the same or have better production. But, man, you know, I don't want to jump the gun and talk about the NBA Finals yet because 3-1 series, anything can happen both ways. You know, so I'm not gonna write the will just yet on the Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves, but it is not looking good, and we are looking towards a small market NBA championship. Indiana and Oklahoma City. You know, I think these two teams really match up really well. You know, just the speed. I'm just thinking about just the speed. The speed that the Pacers play at, the OKC can play with that same speed. And, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing that if that is the match that we're going to get. But till next time, man, Going for two. We out of here. Yeah.